Good morning. On this bowl of Question Crunch, Mia Schubert is here to answer questions about her fantastic artwork, love of cult films, and issues between frogs and ducks. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone wanting to write duck and having fuck show up. That's so.
Yeah, and I use duck all the time. Watch way too much British content. So when I got my first pictures of my daughter, literally it was like 2 weeks pregnant because we were dealing with infertility at the time. So we were at the fertility clinic and they're like, "Hey, you're not late. Congratulations, you don't need us anymore." So I had all these tadpole pictures and I kept on calling her my tadpole. My mom got so mad at me. So I'm like, "Okay, how about duck?" She's like, "Okay, duck's okay." And of course, it's the whole, "Oh, my duck," it's a little endearment. So I use duck a lot. So she's my duck. My
What's
17-year-old is my duck.
what? Hold on. Hold. What? Okay. What is the difference between tadpole and duck that is so strange?
I have no clue, but my mother's a little twisted. So one is not cute and one can be cute and fuzzy. I have absolutely no clue. I've never been quite able to understand her. So, but duck was okay.
No, but
So
I really love thinking about this and trying to analyze it because a lot of people currently the big thing is frogs. Like I see frogs everywhere. I'm
yes,
actually making a frog piece of artwork just because I know it's popular and it's really weird to do artwork based on popularity rather than something I actually like. It's very bizarre.
yeah,
Um but so frogs are really popular right now. Ducks are also pretty popular. I've seen a lot of ducks, but I feel like in the 90s, ducks were more popular because Disney was like, everything ducks.
yes.
So is it because ducks are cute and birds are cute that makes ducks okay to compare to babies?
I have no clue, but at that point, they're not cute. They're just little, alien looking things that, are ready to, but no, they're not cute. So I don't know. Heck, the first few months after they come out into the world, they're really not that as cute as everybody says. They're just a little, just a little, you know, a little horrifying. But they don't get cute until about 3, 4 when they start, talking and they got all the cute little outfits and everything, and you can dress them and make them little mini me's. But until then, so I have no clue. I
I
have
mean,
no.
babies are cool and all, but whenever someone's like, "Oh, do you want to hold my baby?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm
No,
all right.
yeah,
I'm
I
good."
might, yeah. At that moment, they're too breakable, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, you got it. You got look, yeah. Oh,
Aw.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
I think I've told my nibblings that like when they're really young and they can't talk, I'm like, just wait until you start talking because then
Then
then we're gonna be best of friends. Once we start talking about cartoons, we're gonna be cool.
exactly. Then I can go and get into all the fun stuff, and I can go and start your training, young Padawan. Bring out all the old classic cartoons. All the Indian off things that like nobody ever shows. I my daughter watched Disney, but we also watched Ghibli or Ghibli. Take your pick. I can't figure
I
it out either.
honestly I honestly have no idea, and I was really hoping that when you said
No,
it, I was like, that's the correct one. Good, I know. And then you're like, or Ghibli, whatever. I was like, no, damn it. I
I've
felt
got no clue. I
I
can't
felt
figure it
so
out either.
comforted for a split second. There was comfort and relief.
No, I can't ever figure it out either. Every other person says it a different way, so I'm like, Mizuyaki. So,
Yes, that's
um,
exactly what I did. I think we did this on a previous episode of the podcast that I was like,
it's
I
deep.
don't know the studio's name, but I know his name is Miyazaki, so let's
Yes,
stick to that.
there we go. It's all good.
So, you are one of my favorite Instagram artists to follow. Your artwork is absolutely gorgeous. The shines that you do on the characters just give it so much life. The shine and the depth that you add make everything just seem really full, really like actually having, thickness to it. And it always reminds me of really classic cartoons. One of my favorite ones is you recently did Mascot March with me. and your Yummy Mummy, which I knew all of the cereal monsters, but Yummy Mummy was not one of the ones that I just always have in my head. But you put a shadow on the eye, and it was just absolutely gorgeous, and I was obsessed with that for, I think, at least a day, at the most, maybe a few days. I don't know. I just when I see something artistic I really love, I'm like, I need to think about this until I'm done. Until
No, I know you go and you see something and you go, ooh, I didn't think of it in that way. That's I had fun with your mascot march, the absolute horror of your happy little party as they trekked through the universe. I'm like, I loved it, and again, that's one of the ones I wasn't thinking of. I definitely wanted to play with it. I wanted to be true with it. Like when I drew the cereals, I researched to make sure I got the right bits in the cereals, because if I'm going to draw the cereals, they're going to have the right ghosts, or the right chocolate bits. But I wanted it to go and be a little slightly off. I had fun with the whole kind of throwback look, 60s, 70s. I was born in the early 70s, so all that kind of resonates with me. I had way too many, funky outfits when I was little. So I really loved that. But yeah, your take was great. I liked the slight off kilt, and yeah, some of those. Yeah, no, yeah, like it's
I actually watched the commercial for Yummy Mummy because I didn't know where to go, like what kind of inspiration I was going to get. So I watched the commercials, and that's always like a good place to be. Like, if I can find the voice of the character, I can make the character. And the Mummy, when his commercials always had this laugh. He's like, what was it? He said something like the cereal that's good for your tummy, and that laugh. I was like, I need to focus on this laugh. This laugh will help. And so I worked on making sure the character I drew had that kind of laugh.
I I knew I did well when I went and I'm like, look, here's Sugar Bear, because I meet with a group of ladies that we've been meeting at the same coffee house for like since our daughters were like before they got into school, and made friends that way. And when I showed her Sugar Bear, she started singing the commercial, and I'm like, I've done my job. I'm like, I don't remember him nearly as well as she did, but she's like, oh, do 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 do. I'm like, okay, I did it. Mascot March has been a success.
The person who makes that, I'm blanking on her name. Kim, damn it. Either way,
Yes.
she when we were doing Mascot March last year, she said, "Oh, did you like the art challenge?" I was like, "I loved it." But there's so many other mascots that we can include, other kind of elements that we can include. And I have made suggestions, and this year had some of my suggestions. And one of my friends said, I don't know all of these mascots involved in this list. And I was like, that would be awesome if the whole list was of mascots I didn't know.
Yes. And I know people are like, well, why would you want to go and do something like that? It's better when it's something like that. Give me something that I have to go and take a little research, go out there, something that, not isn't in my back pocket. So I already have this idea that it has to be this. I mean, please, I know he has a great big old empire, but please, like, don't make me draw Mickey. Everybody knows Mickey, very, very comfortable with Mickey. If you don't get their version of Mickey, they're like, oh, I don't like, it's uncomfortable. I want something, adjacent to that. Give me something, off or odd or throwback. That's why when I played with Smokey the Bear, but I didn't finish him up. I need to go and finish him. But I went back to, if you've ever gone to any of the forestry services little open houses, they give out actual comic books with the whole story of Smokey the Bear. And so I remember that cute little bear cub. So I had to draw the bear cub with the great big old hat. So I didn't want to do, the whole, only you can, I didn't want to go and do the big guy, the guy that's literally on all the t-shirts that the kids are wearing right now. I wanted to go throw back to the actual comic book, be a little bit more obscure, because yeah, when it's more obscure, when it's something you aren't familiar with, that's when you actually can go and grow and get out of your comfort zone. And I think that's when I get the most out of these little prompts, because yeah, if it's something I've drawn 50 million times, you know, well, I might have fun going and drawing, Jack Skellington. I that hill's already been climbed. Give me something different.
And you never know what kind of history that you'll find that you didn't, you either forgot or didn't know about in the beginning. You brought up Sugar Bear. I I always knew his little jingle, but I did not know that the jingle was based on a on a religious song, and I also did not know that he used to punch people. Like he would get like that whole like slogan and just smack people, and I'm like, oh, I want to draw that. I want to draw his arm becoming just buff because of Golden Crisp.
Yeah, he's gonna punch you with that with all those good vitamins and that healthy cereal.
Yeah,
Um,
it's what that was it. It was like vitamin packed punch. I think it's
yes, and yeah, no amount of vitamins could save that cereal and redeem it. I mean, it was straight up sugar.
yeah.
It was straight up sugar, but it had a cute mascot. Kimberland Art.
Thank you. You looked it up?
Kimberland Art. Yes.
Awesome. I am horrible at looking up stuff in mid conversation. I'll just be like,
Uh,
I'm just gonna throw some syllables together and just hope that I got close.
it drives me nuts when I'm talking about someone, because I am horrible for names. So yeah, when I'm in the middle of conversation, it's like um you yeah, like,
Miyazaki, right.
oh my gosh, it drives me nuts, and then it haunts me, and so then I'm doing a deep dive, going and figuring out, okay, what was I looking for? Ha ha ha, there. And then I'll go and I'll say it later on, like especially if it was during a live that I was doing, a draw with me or something. I'll come back and I'll go and say it again. I'm like, y'all probably have no clue what I'm talking about, but it was this. Yeah.
What is your art history? What has gotten you to where you are now as far as your skill with art?
Okay.
Help me take a drink.
So
I'm
yeah,
bracing
have to
myself.
think, have to get some coffee, have to think. So back the earliest I can remember going and drawing for money was third grade on the playground during lunchtime. I was drawing for milk money. So 25 cents a pop. I was doing commissions on the playground. Um, I was constantly getting in trouble all the way through school, drawing more than I was like paying attention to, like English or math or whatnot. I did decent grades, but yeah, I was always getting in trouble for that. Ran into a very awesome art teacher in high school that went and showed me some of the graphic design side of that. So that actually was a great push there. Moved halfway through my junior year out to another school, and that was a funky lady. She was a fun. She would lose her pencils all week in her hair, and like by the end of the week she'd have like 5 or 6 sitting in there. She was funky, but the one thing she really taught me was she saw me using colored pencils and going big and trying to make big things, but I wasn't like blending absolutely any other colors. This was pink and that was green and here was yellow, and she took all my things away. She gave me a really cool box of Prismacolors, and she just set me down to go and do just all sorts of color work. So here is, all the cross complementaries and the blends in between. And here's, going from red to pink, and just, oh my, she had me going and working on that for months, but it was the best thing ever. I thank her so much. Again, we go back to, I can't remember names, but she was awesome for that. Then I happily went to college for a bit. Then finances came up, and went and left. I was originally going to go for I was going to go and become a teacher, and I believed in the one kid a year will go and make it all worthwhile for art. And I got into some of the student teaching, and I flipping hated it. I flipping hated it. At that time, there was so much push for the inner psychology of the student and the teacher. And because he picked up his pencil and put it on the right hand side of the table, and he's Hispanic, and he was drawing a box of cereal, it means this. And it was all like reading stereo instructions to me. It did not make any sense. So it just took all the joy out of trying to go and do any of that. So finances got tight. I'm like, I'm out, because I was trying to go and figure out a new way to go with that. And so I ended up with, let's see, Y2K. I was one of those people going and upgrading your computers. I was in an in-house computer department for a title and escrow company. So I went and I did that. I was a title assistant for a while. I cut fabric at Joann's. I worked at Disney in the costuming department, opened the Hercules parade. I went just about everywhere but art, and I just I stopped for the longest time. And then we finally got blessed with my daughter after 10 years of trying. And then when she was going to school, kindergarten, I'm like, existential crisis. This is going to end sometime. I'm like, what am I going to do now after that? Because I was lucky. I was lucky to go and be able to stay at home. So I'm like, I got to do something else. I'm like, let me go and try drawing again. I was pretty good once upon a time. Oh my gosh, because it had been so long. The curve was so big. Oh, I had to go back to learning all my fundamentals again, and just working on absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. Met you around that time, and I'm like, I remember why I liked art. I loved illustrations. I loved comic books. I loved just the graphicness of all that. So I'm like, ha. So let me go and find out ways I can go and take this with me. So I went and I got my fabulous pencil, just like Jimmy has, the little Ebis. I'm like, when I saw it, when I saw you going to using it, I'm like, what is that? So I went, I looked really hard when free comic book day, and got my Sharpies all out. And then I got a bunch of watercolor markers, cheap ones, because your materials should not keep you from making. And got out there and just started drawing. Went with big notebooks, and then got smaller notebooks, and then went all the way down to 5x7 cardstock, little craft paper cardstock. And that went and forced me to really think about composition. What can I get on there that's going to be clear, that's going to be readable, that's going to have that punch of, like a frame of a comic book, and get it down there. And let's see, about 7 years after I started that, I got into a pocket where I felt really confident, and I went to a art show, my very first one in Upland, and I happened to be right next to Miss Eva Lacey, Critterosity, and we got talking, and next thing you know, I got invited to Isle of Magic, and then it just all kept on rolling from there, and I haven't looked back, and it's been absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, my journey has been far and in between and all sorts of places, but I'm really happy where I am now.
It's interesting that you said that you got the space of your art got smaller and smaller, because a lot of people who work in small spaces, you see that they get uncomfortable about cropping something out, where they'll get smaller in a hand or a head, and it's deformed just because they don't want to go over the edge. And it's frustrating, because I always tell people, I'm like, don't worry about it. It can go over the edge. It can get cropped. It's out of the POV. When you take a photo of someone, it's the shoulder can be gone. It's fine. You don't have to have the full shoulder. You don't have to scrunch your character just so everything fits.
Yes.
And your artwork, it never feels cramped. It never makes me feel claustrophobic. In fact, I think that because you figure out exactly what you want in the small frame, it it feels very alive for me. I feel like the lines and the colors and every element that you put in this artwork, really, I don't think that I think that if it was a bigger piece, it would not feel as alive for me. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I don't want, the cinematic long shot, of the whole party going over the, you know traveling from the Shire. That's not my thing I want to draw. There's a lot of people that go and do that great big old cinematic long shot, and it's beautiful. I would rather go and have the up close personal shots, where they're coming in to go and tell you exactly, this is what this character is about. This is what this moment is about. I've, again, way tons of early cartoons, tons of comic books. I love cinema like there's no tomorrow. And just those little little bits when you come in and you get that little spark that, haha, that's this moment, that's this character, this is, them being, afraid, sad, goofy, and you can see it in their eyes, more than, how they're standing, or their wacky, yellow suit. I'd rather go and have it, right there in the eyes, and it makes sense for me. I like it. I like
that
it.
is something that will stay with me for a while when I'm thinking about your artwork, because you've seen Princess Frog, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a scene on there when Naveen is talking and he's like, I'm incredibly handsome, okay? And then he continues on with his sentence. But when he gets to okay, he kind of like that. You have the split second of really an adorable position, an adorable face, and I love his little okay in the mid sentence. And so I'm gonna really compare that to your art because there's amazing artwork in that movie, but there's that one seemingly insignificant moment that's really close up and just really special to me that I think that is a good way, a good comparison to your artwork, the what I love about your artwork.
Thank you. Yeah.
um so w- w- what is your process then when you're designing that, when you're trying to figure out like exactly what kind of scene that you want?
Um. So I like going back to a story. If there's not a really good story behind it, it just doesn't make any sense. So, like, even when I'm drawing out in the wild at my local coffee house, something has to spark me. The person there has, like, when I drew a picture of somebody and I turned them into a bat. Okay, but this person was this little itty bitty little thing, big old eyes, gigantic yellow hoodie, and you could just barely go and see them underneath all of that, and they just reminded me of, just this little bat, kind of all covered up, and it was so cute. I flipped it upside down and when I did that. And you know if it's if I'm going to go and do Leia, to me she's always strong, um kind of on that sly, kind of that little wink nudge, and I know what I'm doing, so get the heck out of the way. So I'm never going to go and draw her super soft, or I'm never going to go and draw her, with just, the extra. Although they've taken 50 million pictures of her as slave Leia, that was not her idea, not the funnest part that she's ever had. So I always go and have her with her pistol, or uh, in a right before she goes and takes that step off into you know motion, and getting into something. Um, if I'm going to draw a bad guy, oh my gosh, uh, I like going in. You know, we like making faces at ourselves, so I'm going to go and try to go and get the goofiest, and I'll be sitting there, taking 50 selfies of myself in the mirror, trying to get, a really crazy look. If it's just a, one of those mad scientist moments, I'm really going to go and try to go and push that to go and really get that through, because remember, I'm not going to doing the whole body. I'm just doing a portrait, and so I have to really get that through. So yeah, 90% of the time it's me going and mugging and making faces at myself in the mirror, trying to go and figure out, first let me go and get that expression right, and then the other half, if I happen to have a hand in the photo, in the frame, that's me going and holding a million things to go make sure I put my thumbs on the right sides and it's being held correctly. So yeah, I've got 20 million. If you look at my phone, I've got 20 million pictures of my hands and 20 million pictures of me going, yeah, mugging in the bathroom.
I've got so many photos of my hands.
You do, and
um,
because everybody thinks that we like have some like kind of like flip book for this. We don't. We have these, and these are free, and we don't have to pay for them. And yeah, you can go and take 20 million pictures of them, and look, then you have a reference. And sometimes every now and again, I'll have my daughter do it, and she'll look at me like just stand there for a second, hold this, turn, stay there. Okay, thank you.
I made you. You could do this one thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
That makes a whole lot of sense. That you're more focusing. That you start out with the emotion of the character before anything else. I love that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And also, what was it? You compared your artwork to you don't want to do the big landscape, the whole scrawling
Yes.
horizon of
Yeah.
them going. What was it you said? You
uh
said
the
leaving.
the party going off, leaving the Shire and
Okay, cool.
traveling
So
across.
you want to stay in Hobbiton. You want to stay in the
Yes,
Hobbit hole, the small little snug little
I want to
frame.
see their fuzzy little feet. uh, I want to go and see, that pipe, with the pipe smoke swirling around, Gandalf's head. I want to go and see, um Arwen, looking all fabulously elfin. I don't want to go and, I don't want to go and do the long shot. We already kind of have that. I want to go and get the, what are they thinking? What are they doing? What are they planning? What are they plotting? That's more fun to me.
So when this episode goes up, it will be Earth Day.
Woohoo.
And one of my favorite Earth Day no, one of my favorite Guardians of the Planet is Captain Planet. If Captain Planet got a gritty reboot, who would play them?
See, now my first instinct is say Bruce Campbell, but then that's for most things. But
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say Jensen Ackles, a la Supernatural. I could see him. He's taken baby and he's changed her over to biodiesel. You know, he's got his network of misfits. Over here's the little computer hacker. His little kit now has a bunch of counters and Geigers and such. But yeah, he's out there driving around. With his little jacket, eating pie, saving the world.
Does he still have like a crop top?
That would be funny, but no, see, you'd have to go and put Sam into that. Yeah, I don't think Jensen would be down with that.
I like it that your first one was Bruce Campbell because I feel like I have a conversation with Bruce Campbell a lot during this podcast. I want to
Well,
go back and like get all the edits of all the times we mentioned Bruce
Bruce
Campbell
Campbell.
or Army of Darkness because I think that we've done it a lot.
It would be a highlight reel. Well, because Bruce is awesome, and Army of Darkness. My husband went and proposed to me during the Army of Darkness, so it's got a special place for me.
I went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday and there were 3 ashes. I ran into 3 ashes. And I'm like, is there an anniversary or something? Because
Is there
this
an
is way
ash
too many
day?
ash. It was very strange because I went by the first one and I was like, cool. That's not an awesome idea to have him here at the Renaissance Fair. And I saw another one. I was like, all right. And I saw another one. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what?
That's odd because usually what I'll run into lately, what I've seen, well, as late as the last time they were open, I would run into always a few doctors.
There
So
was a TARDIS.
I'm like, okay, then you run into TARDIS. Okay.
I've seen. It's funny because like I see a lot of nerds pick characters that would make sense that they are here. The Doctor makes sense going back in time. Star Trek is also cool because
Yes.
either they're going back in time or they're on a planet that's way behind theirs. Who knows? The ones that I remember, and I haven't seen them in a while, but there used to be, uh, back when I worked at a Renaissance Fair, I would every now and then see a stormtrooper, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You're way out of place. Why is a stormtrooper at the Renaissance Fair?
And if so, we need to burlap you head to toe. Yeah, no, that one doesn't make any sense. That was just somebody who went and made the whole armor, and they're not in the 501st, and they really, really want to wear it out. It's like, we've got cons for you. No, yeah, that one doesn't make sense. But yeah, Trek, the Doctor, Ash, all those I'm down with.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a Bill and Ted at Renaissance Fair. I'm pretty sure I have.
But that's okay.
Feel-
They run into the princesses. Although this is the Renaissance Fair, not the medieval fair. If we are going to be correct, those princesses were medieval princesses. Pointy hats. So I'm just saying. We're going to be clear.
Get it right, time travel.
Exactly. Come on. If you're going to be geek, go all the way
in. When I was thinking about this question, when I was thinking about like Earth Day, I was thinking of all the different kinds of pro planet, pro environment movies, and it really, I feel like not enough people watch Ferngully or have seen Ferngully, and I feel like that movie is kind of getting forgotten because I don't see it a lot on streaming services, and I feel like it's such an important movie to watch as a kid. Mind you, I feel like there's a lot of sexy scenes in Ferngully that I'm just like, I don't know anymore.
But as a kid, you don't pick up on them. You don't pick up on them. As an adult, you pick up on them. You go, hey, kind of like a Bugs Bunny, cross-dressing. You go, ooh, Bugs, you're being a little out there. I love Ferngully just because we go back to Robin Williams. Hello. Then you've got like, it was Christian
Curry.
Christian Slayer. Christian Slayer. Wasn't he the human?
No.
No, who was it?
I think you're thinking
one of the Brat Pack.
Yeah, but I think you're thinking of Krista's fairy friend.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Yes, you're right. The furry friend, the one that was always going in and bopping him and beating him.
See you later, Zach.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. I'm like, I got the wrong one. Got the wrong guy in the movie. There was only a couple of them. But yeah, no, that one was great. I go back to I like it. And of course I've showed it to my daughter, just if anything, just to go and show her all the Batty Coda parts.
I remember whenever I hear someone say, and yeah, man, sorry, I'm just my mind's strained because I'm like, whenever I heard a friend that has not seen Ferngully, I'm like, I gotta show you Ferngully. It has to happen. I need more people to know about this cartoon. And now I'm thinking, I don't know if my nephew or niece have seen Ferngully, and now they're at an age that they would actually appreciate and understand the movie. I'm like,
you're falling down on the job. You're falling down on the job.
COVID has kind of made me have a hard time keeping on the job.
It is. It's been hard. My daughter, of course, because I've shown her, all the classics of just about everything. She's went and wrote a list, like, especially with horror movies. So, like, she put down like The Birds, Carrie, Halloween, all these different ones, and was going through with her friends. Have you seen this? Have you seen Clue? Have you seen The Neverending Story? Have you seen Heathers? And she's going through them all, and each one that hasn't seen one of those, she's like, come over, we will watch it together, you will know. She went and she did a little double header. She did 10 Things I Hate About You and Knight's Tale. Had to go and get the Heath Ledger thing.
Yeah,
Heath Ledger. They recently went and did that, and yeah, she's bringing all of her friends up to speed. She's like, have you seen Lost Boys? Okay, come over, we will watch.
How old is your sister? How old is your daughter?
She's 17.
Okay.
But this is what she wants to do when she grows up.
How is that with, like, because you're a super nerd. You can tell that from any bit of your art that you're a super nerd. If anyone doubts your nerdiness, it's nonsense, because you can see really obscure stuff in your artwork, and I love it. Whenever I see obscure stuff, it gives me life. I absolutely love seeing obscure, nerdy, practically forgotten characters. It's fantastic. Yeah. How do her friends, how do they respond to movies that are not necessarily or are kind of outdated?
Some of
Um,
them are outdated. Some of them are painfully outdated. When they do, I do like Disney, and I go and I put the disclaimer. Understand, some of these are really, really backwards. Um, for that reason, I personally haven't shown them 16 Candles. It makes me cringe. But we've watched Pretty in Pink and we've watched Breakfast Club. Um, but for the most part, they've been pretty cool. Heather's went and twisted them the most. They're like, I did not. Oh my gosh, I didn't think. And then, oh my gosh, the one friend they had such a wonderful conversation. Actually, it was really a really productive conversation about Footloose. When the scene at the behind the bleachers in the over at the football field, when the when they go and they have the fight, and she goes after the truck, and they were just the one friend was absolutely floored. Oh, you can't do that, and I'm like, but it does. And she was pretty taken back by that. But yeah, they had a wonderful little conversation about what's right, what's wrong, and what the heck they would have done to him. I thought it was great. So yeah, most of them now know all of our nerdy references because my husband and I talk in movie quotes. So now when they go and they hear us go and talk in movie quotes, they go, "Hey, I know that." I'm like, exactly.
I don't my nephew and niece are I think they're not even 10, so I don't get to be around like high schoolers to see how high schoolers respond to movies like Lost Boys. That's absolutely fascinating. I love hearing that they respond well and they accept the pop culture education that your daughter has put them through.
Nothing but giggles through the whole uh,
Sexy
firelit
sax?
sax scene in Lost
Yeah.
Boys. Yeah, nothing but giggles. Like, what the heck was that? But yeah, most of the rest, they were right there with them, especially with the Corys. And I'm like, oh, the Corys.
Have they seen Return to Oz yet?
Yes, but that
Okay.
one was fairly early. Although we go back to it's one of the spookier shows, so it's not shown nearly enough. But yeah, that was one of the earlier ones that we watched. A Never-Ending Story. A lot of those we went pretty early. I broke out Star Wars rather early, and unfortunately, they all love Jar Jar. Like, okay, I'm like, I'll allow that. You were young. Um, but yeah, uh, a lot of those came out early. So yeah, they they do love them. So now we're getting into things like Rocky Horror. So
Ooh.
that's fun. And I had to go and explain the whole bit about Rocky Horror, and I'm like, and this is what would happen, and this is what you would do. And I showed like some YouTube videos of people at a midnight showing, and I'm like, if you don't understand, it's not nearly as fun. But they've all like they're so excited with it. We've only gotten about through halfway through it with most of the time because we'll watch. It always gets pulled out like at the end of the night right before they all go home. So I'm like, we have to do like a sleepover. Y'all got to have a sleepover, and we'll just go and do it, and we'll watch all of it, and then we'll go to like Denny's or something.
Rocky Horror is a weird one. I'll usually
Right.
in the before times, before the pandemic, whenever I have like a Halloween party, Rocky Horror would always be at the end, just so I can try
Yes.
to start getting rid of people. Because a lot of people, if they're not fans, it's a slow and weird movie.
Oh,
Because the
very
whole
much.
part where he's like pulling the switches and he's like, twist the knobs 3 times. It takes so long compared
Yeah.
to current movies where it's everything has to be very fast
Yeah.
and meaningful and precise. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see who can't handle this era of movie.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah, my girls went all through. I call them all my girls. They all went on a Tim Curry uh, kick. So we've watched, of course, Clue and Oscar and all these movies with him in it, just because they're like, okay, you have to go and show me who this person is. And I'm like, well, here, I've got all these movies. You can watch all of them, and then we will watch Psych, and you can watch them there too.
Can you do a Tim Curry impression?
I wish, man. Tim Curry is no, it is too iconic, man. I've
Are you not,
drawn.
not even gonna try just a little bit of Tim Curry?
Oh my gosh, it's all the look, man. He's got that look that goes and tells you you're an idiot and off. I mean, really and truly, he does. It's just as he goes and gives you that smile and just you wish
I
you
always
were me.
I always feel like whenever I do Tim Curry, I think of two things. I think of one, his laugh reminds me of a duck eating a food, eating a big food. Because I'm always like, you know how ducks like throw their head back. I'm
Yes,
like,
yeah, exactly.
or you have to hit a syllable. You have to like. I feel like his voice stays on a syllable for way too long. Like I think
Yes,
of Muppets Treasure Island, where I'm like, stand back, lads. This is my only number.
yes. The over pronunciation to go and let you know I know how to say these words correctly, and you don't. I own the English language. Yeah, no,
Exactly. There we go. The stretching on one syllable where you're like,
way
all right,
over. Yes,
the
snap.
English language.
Exactly, exactly.
What has been one of your favorite experiences while exhibiting at shows?
Oh my gosh. So it was probably my very second Isle of Magic. And so I had done the first one, so I kind of knew what was I was expecting. It was still growing and getting bigger. And somebody came up to my table and I was busy talking to somebody else. And my husband tap, tap, tap. And I'm like, what? And literally there's a person in front of me. She was so excited. She was practically hopping foot to foot. She followed me on Instagram, and here I was in person, and I'm like, I don't even do anything that's like, I'm like, thank you. I felt so, I have never, I had up until that point, I had never met anybody who was like just so excited to go and meet me for me because, oh my gosh, and they were going to go and buy something of mine, and they were so excited, and she only had just a little bit, but, and she was only there for a short time, but like she came for me. I'm like, there are literally Disney artists in the room, but you came for me. And I'm like, yay. I'm like, after that, I'm like, yes, I'm an artist. Thank you very much. It was so cool. I'd never had that before. And it was just, and she brought her little sister with her. And I was just so, okay. I'm like, yes. I was so, so very excited.
I have such a hard time, and I don't want a listener hear this episode and like, oh, cool, that's how I get free shit from Jimmy. I have a hard time selling stuff to like hardcore fans like that because they love my artwork so much, and I'm like, all right, cool, you want some free shit? Here, I got this drawing, I got this thing. You want this? Here's another one. I don't know.
Here's a sticker.
You actually love my artwork. I want you to continue. I want you to be happy. Here's my stuff.
Yes. I went and I gave her a discount that day because, like I said, she only had just a little bit, and I'm like, yeah. Some of my stuff that I like, I hold near and dear, and I spent a lot of time into, and it just hadn't found its home yet. When it finally does, I'm like, I give you a deal. I'm like, you love it, I love it, I love that you love it. I'm like, I give you a deal because yeah, you want your art to go and like be out in the world. I don't um like it's especially like hard with my family. Uh, the younger ones understand it, but the older ones, especially, it just doesn't make sense. It's like art to go and do arts and do it seriously. You have to be hanging in a gallery. I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't want to gallery. I don't want to be just for certain people. Hello, Mer. How are you doing? Cat. Um, he's like, you're not paying attention to me. Cat butt. Um,
I did not see any cat butt when you said hello, and then all of a sudden there was like a pattern at the bottom of the
yes.
screen that was just moving past.
She did a Jaws. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I want it to be out there. I want it, to be accessible. That's why I like it, all things pop. And that's why I love fan art and I love the odd and obscure. And I don't like the gatekeeping that's in gallerying. So I would much rather go and just, you like making art, make art. I like making art. You want this in your house? Here, please. Don't go and buy, the print that's, 50 people have on their walls that they've all bought from, Walmart. Not that, the artists that go and make things like that, they all have a purpose too. But I'm not staging a house. So please live within your space and make it your space. If you want to go and put up, 20 pictures of Totoro, please do it. If you want to go and, have Tim Curry as Frankenfurter on, next to the kids' pictures from elementary school, do it. The funkier, the better. And yeah, art needs to be in every home, and it needs to be an active thing. And when people stop thinking of it as it has to be this thing that has to be in these white walls, being curated by someone who goes and decides what's worthy and what's not, art dies. And then people don't think about that there's artists out, and we live in the wild, amongst you. And then it's just it's too separate from everyday life, and art should be part of everyday life.
I agree completely. And I feel like one of the things that one of the issues I have with the gatekeeping of a lot of art is that when you finally get it through to someone that art is your access to the imagination, and with the imagination, you can there is no limits to your imagination. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. And so whenever I tell people, when I teach people how to draw like a certain animal or something, I'm like, you don't have to stick to these rules. You can make the nose as big as you want it because there is no rules to your imagination. Be silly, be strange. You said that Frankenfurter next to the kids' photos. Yeah, do it. There's no rules to that. Whatever rules society is given, those aren't real. And if you're in your own private home, inside your own private head, go nuts with it. Don't worry. If no one's getting hurt, you're good.
Exactly. That's why sometimes I cringe at some of these, these home decorating shows and whatnot. It's like, please don't.
I hate those. I hate them hard.
Because then it's like that you have to have the candles next to this, and then you have to have that with that, and oh, please don't go and add this and don't add that. The girls, as I was talking about.
I saw that. Are they going to go see a movie?
No, actually, they're going to go in and probably go and squirrel into my daughter's room for a while, and then we're going to go in and break out an escape room game, and we'll do that. My family and all my girls love escape rooms like there's no tomorrow. We've personally, as a family, we've done over 80 rooms in person, and then we have all the different games and such you can go and buy and do at home. So
I would much rather do it at home. I don't like even though it's fake and you can leave whenever you want. I'm just like, there's too much anxiety. No, thank you.
Yeah, we've gotten a little bit of the horror, but for most part, it has to be puzzle rooms. It has to be fun, funky, different. Here's a fun, here's a circus fair. Here's a magician's room. We've done a Harry Potter themed one where we had to literally mix potions to go and get out. Yeah, so it has to be fun and funky.
That's rad.
And I cheat. I bring all the young ones to go and do all the crawling.
So one time when I watched Doug, I noticed that there was a shadow underneath their chin, and I had no idea that my mind was subconsciously getting that and putting it in my comics. And I was like, when I watched Doug, I was like, oh, that's where I got that. That's weird. Okay, cool. All right, now I know where that inspiration came from. And I feel like I'm not gonna mention what your artwork reminds me of. I've already listed different comparisons, but I want to ask you before I mention my guess. But what inspires your style?
Okay, so like I said, I've read so many comic books. There is no such thing as too many. So many comic books. Lots of, like, some of my earliest memories is going to the store and buying you know, illustrated books with my great grandmother, um, all the early cartoons. So all of that uh, really, really goes and inspires me to go and make story too. But like you said, you go and you soak in and you pick up stuff and you go, I didn't realize that that's why I do that. But like I know from going and seeing all the illustrations, like from, oh my gosh, from way back when, we're talking basic things like Cat in the Hat and Bill Pete and I had this wonderful Strawberry Shortcake book that I loved that came out 2 years before anything Strawberry Shortcake came out, but it was all watercolors and it was so gorgeous. So all that calls to me, and I know that's why I go and I use my little Prismacolor white to go and do over to go and finish all the soft highlights when I finish. But all that, and then like I said, oh my gosh, I've watched stop at motion animation. I do like I said, all the classic cartoons. I love all those classic cartoons, especially if we go back to all those crazy expressions. That's definitely from there.
Do you have an example of like the crazy? You don't have to do them. You don't have to do them physically. Do you have any specific cartoon that you're thinking of when you think of crazy expression from back in the day that inspires your work?
Crazy expressions. I'd have to go and say more than most any of the others. I'd have to go back to definitely to like Looney Tunes, man. Looney Tunes were it, while everybody was fawning over going and doing the all the Disney princesses. I loved my Looney Tunes. Give me those over anything else. I had a Schwinn bike that had a great big old flag on the top of it, and it had the Roadrunner on it when I was little. So give me those guys. I loved those the best. And then oh my gosh, all the Hanna-Barbera. Oh my gosh, I lived with all that. I watched Scooby-Doo and oh gosh, the little Dune buggy and
Wacky Racers?
yeah, oh, the Wacky Racers too, and then Josie and the Pussycats. I mean, all of them. I watched all of those, and the oh my gosh, then with all the crazy, the funny little twists and my early ideas for going and what was funny and turning things on its head was going and watching Electric Company after school too. My mom, put it on for Sesame Street, but I was watching it for the Electric Company. So
The reason why I mentioned something specific is because your artwork always reminds me of Don Bluth. I feel like
thank you.
I feel like a lot of cartoon characters, there's rules, even when they squash and stretch. I feel like they focus too much on being a solid form. And I feel one of my favorite things about Don Bluth is that the bottom jaw, whenever they're talking, is just ridiculously exaggerated. And they just have no rules as how far you can stretch in a Don Bluth film. It's just ridiculously fluid. And there's also a lot of shine and twinkle in Don Bluth films. And so whenever I see your highlights on things, and the highlights that you'll put on a detail of, I think you drawn the most beautiful Chewbacca I've ever seen because you focus on every strand of hair and it's gorgeous. And I was like, I want to hug that Chewie, man.
I love that. I love going and doing that. Furries, my gosh. But yeah, I love all the contrast in the blues. I mean, there's just so much contrast. I mean, there's never being afraid of using tons of color and going super dark and super bright. And like you said, a lot of the rules are broken. You have all sorts of wacky colors. You've got all the crazy expressions, the extra stretching. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm like, now I want to go and watch We're Back, A Dinosaur Tale.
I just feel like I feel like the fact that your characters are so alive in that small little space just makes me think of Don Bluth with so not they're not even moving, and it's not it's not that dynamic. They're in this like one little place, but it's so alive and so
Yes.
fantastic. I love your work. What has been one of your favorite pieces of artwork, recent artwork?
Recent artwork. Oh my gosh. So I went, I had, I had a ton of fun going and doing mascot march. It took me out of it. And then when I was doing that, in the midst of that, somebody went and asked me to go and do some Cartoon Network. So I went and I pulled out and we did Mojo Jojo. And because I like doing Draw With Me's live. I have fun with that. It's one of the things I really like doing. So I went and I brought out Mojo Jojo, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we need Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Oh, we need Dexter's Laboratory. We need all these." So I pulled them all out, and that's not a style I do. I don't go and do this very flat 2D. I don't do anime type. So it really made me stop and rethink of how to go and make these characters turn and move. I'll go and I'll take I'll do a search online, and on my phone you've got it'll be little thumbnails. I'll go and take a quick clip of that because I don't want anything more detailed than that, because I don't want to go and be rendering exactly. I want to know, okay, he has a flip of his hair here and these are his colors, but I don't want to go and do exactly. So that way I could go and get a hint. So I go, okay, and now I want to go and change it. So I have to go and try to turn this character, which a lot of those don't ever turn. The faces don't ever turn. The nose is always over here, off to one side. So look, it's literally a zigzag 3. That's all you have there. Okay. So I had to go and look at what makes each character that, and then try to figure out how to go and change it and turn it to be mine. So that really pushed me on, okay, how can I go and make these mine? How can I go and give that texture that I like? You go back to, like you said, Chewbacca with every last hair, detailed. There's not that much room for me to go and get away with anything on those characters. It's like a stamp. That's all they are. So that really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I really was happy with how they turned out and where I went with it. And we go back to I found ways to Mia it. I found ways to go and Mia it, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
What social media of yours should folks follow?
People should follow my Instagram. So it's underscores in between each word. So it's draw me in art by, and then I thought it'd be clever to go and save room, and I put Mia Schubert all together. So it's MIASCHUBERT, just like the composer. So it's draw me in art by Mia Schubert. If you want to go and find out what I'm doing absolutely everywhere else, that's great. If you want just a quick snapshot of what I'm doing, Twitter, because I'll go and I'll try to put just still photos there. If you go over to TikTok, I'm just reposting my stuff that I just went and spent, my reel that I went and I just spent, 15 minutes on over on Instagram. I'm just reposting it there. So it's just another, hey, if you didn't catch it here, it's over there. But yeah, Instagram, follow me on Instagram. That's where you'll find out where I'm going to do a show, what I'm up to lately, my stories, hey, here's me working on this, here's me working on that. You'll go and you'll see the most of everything that I do is on there. And then I go and I put a lot of my work in progress there, and I try to go and post every single day there. So it's like Inktober. It's a goal we're always working for.
On your Instagram, it led me to your website. And on your website, it says something along the lines of you always like to start a day with a cup of coffee and drawing with a cup of coffee. And you've also mentioned meeting up with your friends at the local coffee shop. What coffee shop is your favorite? What is this magical coffee shop that you're talking about?
Well, this magical place that I am most mornings is over at Victoria Gardens at Starbucks. It's not very, not it's the most local, most centralized place. And it's where I've stopped, and I've I found my little Batgirl with the hood. And I'll do a lot of people watching. Like I would just sit there and I'd be drawing, and here's somebody, ooh, I found it interesting. Haha, you're my next victim. You know, but it's light drawing class right there, and it was free to go and sit, and I could get free refills, so that was even better. But I like what I call wandering. So my husband and I will go and we'll take off in a general direction and go wandering and find new places to eat, new comic book shops, new pastry places, pie places, and wander around and try to go and find something interesting. So if I can find an indie little one-off coffee house, I'd much rather go to those, because then I'll go and I'll ask, hey, what I like, this, and this, what should I get? And they'll go and they'll say, oh, well, then you have to have this. And I'll say, okay. And then I'll go and just get it. Because if it's at home, I'm boring. It's give me a blonde roast with some steamed non-fat and 2 Splenda. But if I'm out and about, I'm like, ooh, that does sound interesting. Yes, I want the full fat, extra sugar whipped cream with sprinkles on top. Yes, give me that one. So if I can, I love going to little indie, odd little coffee houses. Those are the most fun. But where I'm at most of the time, just because it's local for all of us, we're right there.
In the before times, before COVID,
In the before times.
I loved going to coffee shops and drawing. Coffee Clatch was always one of my favorite places to hang out and draw. I love roaming around Claremont. Claremont Village is a fun place to roam around because you
Yes.
never know when you'll find like a really random small place that also serves coffee. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I like coffee. Let's find the little hole in the wall place that only has room enough for a counter that I can buy a coffee and then find some table to sit at and drink and draw. Nowadays, I've visited Coffee Clatch, but I'm just like, I don't want to be here because there could be a stranger that doesn't want to wear a mask, and I don't know if they trust science, and they're going to be leaning over my
Yeah.
drawing and trying to talk to me with their potentially poisoned breath.
Yeah, my stuff hasn't. Yeah, I haven't drawn at any coffee house lately, and we usually go in and meet up, get our coffees, and then we walk because it's outside, and we're outside. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Some of the smaller, fun little quaint places that I used to love going into, it's like, can we go there like at really, really, really off hours? I've been to like a shop called Quest a couple times, and it's like the world's quickest trip, because it's a small little place, and you end up in an aisle with somebody else, and you're like, nope, let's go back the other way. Nope, there's somebody that way. Ooh, okay, let's wait for somebody to go move. Dodge. Yeah. I'm still trying to find that comfortable spot. But like at the Isle of Magic, just in February, I wore a mask. My daughter wore a mask. My husband wore a mask. It's just we're not quite there yet, but that's okay. I'm I'm still not right there.
I have a show coming up, Midsummer Scream. That will be in July. So coming up it's still a distance away. But I'm planning on getting one of those full face masks, and I want to put skull over it. Like
There
it'll
you
be
go.
like a sunglass mask and then skull, and I think that would be good. And I've done the Labyrinth show, the Masquerade show in LA, and I think that the skull would also do well there. So I think that's what I'm going to do to feel safer around strangers.
There you go. So if and when I go to Midsummer and I'm out by the kids area, and I notice somebody that happens to have a Sharpie and is drawing just like you, I know it's you behind that mask.
Yeah, it'll be
I
just
know
a
that
skull.
masked man.
I love coffee shops. I feel like co- I'm I really want to do more coffee shops. I think that I might have to take a no. You know what? I think I might try to do some Instagram Sunday thing to invite any artists to draw and drink coffee. That might be a thing I do. We're recording this on a Sunday, so we can't do it
Yeah.
today, but maybe. Hmm.
Well, technically,
Maybe.
we both have had our own, so we've both been drinking together. So,
We've been drinking coffee. That's true. That is true. What words of wisdom would you give to any aspiring artist?
uh, don't let your materials go and price you out of making. Uh, get absolutely anything. I mean, I love it when you go and you break out your ballpoint pen and just go to town. I mean, why not? There's people I know that go and use highlighters like a ninja, and I'm like, you go for it. Literally, I've got one of the Asian, little stationery store, cheap little mechanical pencils. I've got my Sharpies, and then this is literally Michael's brand watercolor markers. Don't when you start going and thinking that you have to have these materials to go and actually make serious art, then you get in your head, and then you don't want to go and try and experiment and get goofy or do something out of your comfort zone, because now these things are so precious, and you only have so much resources, and then you just don't want to go and do it. I mean, I love it when some of the people have come in person to go and see me go and do some of my life drawings. Is like, come on, just let's get out here. They think it's kind of crazy when I go and I give them that plain old number 2 pencil. Dude, that's all you need. That's all you need. Just get that, and here's some paper, and just start drawing. um, when people just let that go and limit them, that they don't have this set and that set. And I've tried and I've used all these other more expensive materials. I like the cheaper stuff better. It gets me where I want to go, and I enjoy it. And some things I do get and I use that are more expensive, like my little white pencil. Those, that is the higher end, but it's not so much that I go, well, I've spent $200 on all my equipment, and if I don't, if I don't go and make something very important, it's been time not spent well. So yeah, just get out there and just don't let that your materials go and limit you. When you do that, it's sad. Just make art. Just get out there and just do it. um there's no reason to go and let like materials be a gatekeeper for you, or people. Just get out there and just do it.